Firstly, let us see at the objective of the research that has been conducted by our group. We have identified a total of 3 objectives altogether. The first one is to identify the time spent on social medias by 50 respondents among the students of College Marakulim. The second objective is to determine the effect of social networking sites towards the number of friends in real life versus online for 50 respondents among the students of College Marakulim. And last but not least is the third objective, which is to identify whether the 50 respondents among the students of College Marakulim prefer to interact with people through social medias or social networking sites or face-to-face.
So we are going to discuss about problem statement. I had created problem statement according to the questionnaire and had come up with 3 problem statements. So the first one is most students are spending more time on social media rather than doing other activities in leisure time. The second one is students are having less friends in real life rather than friends and followers on social media. And the third one is students are more interested in interacting with people on social media rather than face-to-face in real life.
And for the first question in our survey is, which social sites do you often use? And the respondent will choose 3 out of 6 options. And from this survey, we have obtained 143 data in total. And from this data, we have built a pie chart which consists of 27% of WhatsApp users, 26% of Instagram, 20% of TikTok, 13% of Twitter, 8% of Facebook, 5% of others, and 1% of LinkedIn users. And also from this data, we have measures the central of tendency, which are mean, mode, median, quartiles, and percentiles. And for the first measures of central tendency, which is mean, we have obtained the mean for this data is 20.43, and for the median is 71.5, which is the 72th observation, and it is the Instagram. And for the mode is WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is the most dominant app among the other 6. And next is the quartiles, which is the first quartile is the 66th observation, which is WhatsApp, and the second quartile is 72th observation, which is Instagram, and for the third quartile is 108th observation, which is Twitter. And for the interquartile range, the answer is undefined because interquartile range formula is Q3 minus Q1, which is third quartile minus first quartile. And for this case, it is Twitter minus WhatsApp, which is the answer is undefined.
So for question number 2, which is how many hours do you spend to interact with people on social media per day? So based on research, most of the students spends about 1 to 3 hours, which is about 18 people. So after that, I've turned all the data into a frequency table, which consists of class interval, frequency, midpoint, midpoint square, summation of fx squared, summation of fx power of 2, lower boundary, and upper boundary. So after that, I presented the data into a histogram, which consists of frequency and also class. And then I calculate the measure of location. So for mean, I use the formula summation of fx over summation of f, and I get the answer 5.12. So for mode, I use the interval which has the highest frequency, which is the first interval in this data, and then substitute the value I've got into the formula LB plus D1 over D1 plus D2 times with class width, and the final answer is 3.3421. And so also for median, I use the data that is half from total frequency, which is 50 over 2, and I substitute all the values I got into the formula LK plus N over 2 minus FK minus 1 over FK times with class width, and the answer is 4.7353. And for quartiles, it's almost the same like median, except for quartiles I use 1 over 4 times 50 and use the interval from the data. And then substitute into the formula LK plus N over 4 minus FK minus 1 over FK times with class width, and the final answer is 2.5833. And as for Q3, I use the formula LK plus 3 and over 4 minus FK minus 1 over FK times with class width, and the final answer I got is 7.1818. So after that, I calculate the for measure of dispersion. So the first one is variance. So for variance, I use the formula stated. As for variance, I use the formula stated in the slide, which is summation of fx squared minus summation of fx over n squared over summation of f minus 1 minus 1. So the final answer is 20.9388. And for standard deviation is just the square root of variance. So the answer is 4.5759. And for coefficient of skewness, the formula is mean minus mode over standard deviation, and the answer is 0.3885. So if the answer is positive, the conclusion is the graph is positively skewed, and if the answer is negative, then the graph is negatively skewed. And for coefficient of variation, the formula is standard variation over mean times 100, which comes out to the final answer is 89.37%. And the conclusion is the distribution of data around the mean is relatively high.
Hi teacher, let's proceed to question 3. Now first thing, here is the data. In the questionnaire we had given to 50 of KM Coolant committee, question 3 asked them to answer how many followers do they have on their most used social media. There are 5 classes of interval given as shown. We can see that there are 11, 10, 14, 7 and 8 people have chose each class interval respectively. If you take a glance of the data, we can see that most people have followers in the range of 401 to 600, which means the mode is relied in that class interval. But what is the exact mode? Where is the median? There are so many elements that we can get just by looking at this data. Hence, I have transferred it to a frequency table. And notice that I've added several other elements such as midpoint, class boundary and cumulative frequency. The main reason is because I want to create a graph, which is ogive graph. So the ogive graph has 2 types. Which one will I choose? For my cumulative frequency, I've hit add until I get the total frequency at the bottom row. With this, the type of ogive that I will draw is less than ogive, and it looks like this. The x-axis is the number of followers, which is the upper boundary, and y-axis is the number of respondents, which is cumulative frequency. From the shape of the graph, it is proof that this is the less than ogive. Now let's count MOL and MOD. This is the table I've created to aid the calculation. Since this is group data, formula for mean is summation of frequency multiply midpoint for each class divided by summation of frequency. And I got 464.39. Then, to calculate median, I'll be using the formula shown. The first step is to divide the total frequency by 2 to know in which class the median rely. Then we proceed with the formula, in which LK is lower boundary for the median class, capital F, K minus 1 is cumulative frequency before class median, and C is the class size. And I got 457.64. For mode, I identified that 14 is the highest frequency, so each class is the model class. D1 is the difference between frequency model class with frequency before model class, and D2 is the opposite. And I got 473.23. Notice that our mean mode median is not the same, so it is not symmetry. But is it positively skewed or negatively skewed? Moving on, for measure of dispersion, I choose to present all 4. For the variance, I use formula as shown, and I got 74,677.68. Next, the standard deviation is simply square root of variance. For coefficient of skewness, I use formula which is mean minus mode divided by standard deviation, and I got negative 0.03235. Firstly, it is negative, so it is negatively skewed. Then, the number is very small, so it shows that it is slightly negatively skewed, and it is proof because our mean, mode and median is just different slightly. Last but not least is our coefficient of variation. It's just standard deviation divided by mean and multiply with 100 to get the percentage, and I got 58.84%. From this, know that the dispersion of data around the mean is relatively high.
Here we are going to construct a box plot. This is the data that I had used to construct a box plot. The data is from question number 5 from the questionnaire, and it stated that in real life, how many friends do you have? So the respondent has to state a number of their friends in real life. To construct a complete box plot, we need to measure quotile 1, quotile 2 or median, quotile 3, upper fence and lower fence. Also, we need to include minimum and maximum number from the data. So from the data, minimum number is 1 and the maximum number is 34. Then I have to measure all the three quotile. The formula for the first quotile is 25 multiple with total number of data, which is 50, and divided by 100. And I will get the value is 12.5. Observation. Since it is not an integer, so I have to make it to integer, and it will become 13 observation. Then I need to search which number that place in 13 and come out the number is 3. The process is same goes with quotile 2 and quotile 3. Where in quotile 2, the formula is 50 multiplied with 50 and divided by 100, and I will get 25 observation. Since it is integer, I had to use percentile method, which I had to sum up observation number 25 and 26 and divided by 2, which is from my data 6 plus 6 per 2, and I will get the value is 6. And for the quotile 3, the value is 10. Then I need to search for the upper fence and lower fence, as the whisker has to stay in the fence and not pass through the fence. So lower fence formula is quotile 1 minus 1.5 divided by interquotile. So it is 3 minus 1.5 multiple with 10 minus 3 and the value is negative 7.5. And for the upper fence, the formula is quotile 3 plus 1.5 multiple with interquartile. So 10 plus 1.5 multiple with 10 minus 3 and I will get 20.5. As we can see, the whisker start from the minimum data, which is 1, and Kenyak with the boss consists of 3 lines. First line represents quotile 1, which is 3, the middle one represents quotile 2, and which is 6, and the third one is quotile 3, which is 10. As we know that our upper fence is 20.5, and we know that in our data, there are 5 numbers that exceed the value of upper fence. So those numbers are considered as outlier, which is extreme number. Then, the whisker will continue until it meets maximum number, which is 34. But in my case, the upper fence is lower than maximum number. So the whisker will stop at 20, which is number from the data, and closest to value of upper fence. And the whisker cannot pass through the upper fence, so it will not meet number 34 and will stop at 20. Mean for M group data, I had to sum up all the numbers and divide it by 50. The total value of summation of the data is 451 divided by 50, and the mean is 9.02. Mode is frequent data, so 10 is the mode. As I said earlier, the median is same with quotile 2, so median is 6. Then, we need to measure the dispersion and we'll start with the variance. The formula for the variance is summation of x squared divided by n minus 1, so 3330.0612 per 59, and I will get 67.9604. Then, square root the value to search for the standard deviation, and it is 8.2438. For coefficient of skewness, it is important to see that the data will skew to the right or to the left. So, 3 multiple with mean minus median and per standard deviation, the value is positive 1.097. Since it is positive, so it will skew to the right. The last one is coefficient of variation, which standard deviation per mean and multiple with 100%, and I will get the value is 91.39%. So it is the end for the box plot.
So, at the end of our study project, based on the problem statement stated above, we can conclude that all of it was true. For the first problem statement, this was definitely true and was proven in question 4, where most respondents spend around 42 hours per week on social networking sites. And secondly, based on question 3 and question 5, it is true that students are having less friends in real life when compared to their friends and followers on social media. This is proven when the mean for respondents' followers on their social media was around 464, but the mean for their friends in real life was just 9. Lastly, this problem statement was proven by question 1 and question 2, where for the total of 50 respondents, there are 143 social sites where the students most often use, and most students spend around 1 to 3 hours per day to interact with people on social media, which is quite a lot for a student in College Merakulim. And next, for the improvement that we should make in our next project is, firstly, we should collect samples from variety range of age group to obtain a better survey result on social networking. And secondly, we should consider to get respondents from different kind of background and occupation to obtain more diverse results. And lastly, we should ask the respondents more specific follow-up questions regarding a small scope of social networking sites, such as specifically about Instagram, to obtain more specific results.